I don't.
Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. Welcome to Besties in Biz. I love how you just made a big. You were not talking, so
I was just excited.
We're very excited. This is the first official episode, and in true Tess and T fashion, we decided this not even a week ago. We've been talking, like I used to have my podcast. You've been talking about having a podcast for ages, and I just had this, what the fuck are we doing moment? Like, let's just make the podcast together. And we were like, oh, we'll try and find a date where T can fly up and blah, 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 blah. And then Jared was like,
yeah, you called me and Jared's like, why don't you just do it while we're in the Gold Coast? And we were like, yep, done.
And so here we are. We are very excited to be in the beautiful studio that we're in at Zone. It is gorgeous here, and I'm kind of excited that, like, I feel like we're going to do like a podcast tour and we're going to have different episodes in different studios.
Yes.
How exciting for us.
Oh,
maybe that's how we can make Queenstown a tax write-off.
Record a podcast.
Can we actually? Anyways, we'll get to that later.
We'll ask about that later.
You go.
I was just going to say, can I just address the elephant in the room? I jumped off stage yesterday, so the first few episodes of this season are obviously going to be
anyone that is listening to the audio only. Tiana looks like an Oompa Loompa.
Oompa Loompa vibes, and my face doesn't match my body, but
at least you're not a tiger roll yet, though, because like that's where it gets bad.
Very true.
You know,
I'm hoping I never get to that point. I'm going to maintain this forever.
Amazing. Well, welcome to our first official episode. If you do not know who we are, this is your first time finding us.
We'll let you know who we are.
Yeah, I feel like you've learned a lot about us in the last 2 minutes already, and you don't even know who we are. But I feel like let's give a bit of an intro on who we are. Do you want to go first? And then we'll talk about how we met, blah, 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 all the things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Tiana, or T, whatever you want to call me. I don't even know what I call myself, but I am a marketing specialist, social media specialist, and that is my primary business. And that's sort of me in a nutshell.
Well, it's not, because you do. There are so many other things about you.
That's the short version. I'm an amateur bodybuilder. I have a dog called Thor. I have a husband called Jared. And I don't know. Honestly, there's not much to me.
She's a very interesting woman. There is a lot to you.
I feel like
we should have introed each other, but anyways.
Oh, should we?
Okay, well, let me give my intro, and then we'll do each other. Okay, so I'm Tess. I'm gonna go with I'm a mindset coach, but that is in the realm of
that's so
it's so minute. I love labels and I hate labels. I think they're so important and equally they're so limiting. But I really love to delve into all things underneath the surface, the frequency, the subconscious. Like I froth it. I am a professional bodybuilder. One up you there. No, I'm joking. It is.
I get to compete in the country at least. You have to go somewhere else.
It is a very disadvantageous thing at the moment, but that is totally fine. And I feel like we can cover that a little bit in this episode. But I am a fiance. My fiance's name is Brody, and I have 2 dogs. I have 2 miniature dash hounds, Tilly and Bo, seeing as we're going down the dog route.
He's my son. I had to join.
Oh, 1,000%. We should. Maybe I'll like pop some photos of the dogs up on the screen or something.
I was just thinking that. That's a good idea. I like that.
But yeah, I feel like, okay, if I'm going to give T an intro, I feel like Tiana is the most kind and generous person that I have ever fucking met. And I always describe it in this way. She knows what I'm going to say. Tiana is the sort of person that will comment on a Facebook group's question. Like if anyone is from the Sutherland Shire, you know the Facebook group Healthy Rigs. I am still in that group even though I don't live in Sydney anymore, purely because I love opening my Facebook and seeing that T has commented on another woman's post, and it could be about literally anything from like, I don't know, there are so many random things.
The other days was a lady asking about if everyone was paying the same price for groceries and what her weekly shop cost was. Anyway, I gave her advice on going to Costco and like how she could reduce the cost of her weekly shop.
And that is T in a nutshell. The like most subtle but generous, like full heart person that I have ever met, and I love that about her. How else would I intro you? You're very like quietly determined in the sense of I don't think people realize how ruthless you can be with like what you want to do, and how I think I'm really privileged to see this side of you, and also in the most loving way to see where this side of you also becomes like you probably need to leverage it more within yourself so that it doesn't sneak out when you're tired and like at the end of a prep. But you can be the most like direct, like this is what I think kind of person. You just don't let many people see that side of you, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm like, if like watching you and Jared fight over the weekend, I'm like, fuck, she's a bit of a bitch, but like I'm kind of here for it. But like also, shut the fuck up, you're both just hungry, you know? Like,
well, we've had a great like 12 hours because we've been fed.
You've been fed. That's gonna be my intro for you.
I love that. I'm like, what am I gonna say about you? Because
if you say I fucking scratch my rims, I'm a
Tess is actually the worst driver parker that I've ever met.
I actually have been good.
You've been much better since
good.
Brody painted your rims. They've been a bit better. That big chunk out of the side though is not it.
I'm just making all of the mistakes with the Swift so that when I get my Lamborghini Urus one day, I'm just good.
Get it out now. No, I love that. No, something about Tess actually that is probably, I think this is my most favorite thing about you, and I don't know how I'm going to explain it, but like the way that you see things like is just so different to anyone else. Like whether it's a business thing or a mindset thing or like whatever it is, your outlook on a situation or a scenario or how to go about something or how you can change something is just, you just view it so differently. So like if the lens is here, like you're over here and up here and around the fucking corner. And I just think that it's such a good trait to have. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I get what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm trying to say though?
And I appreciate that. I don't feel like I get that reflected that often. But you know what? I don't even feel like it's me. I'm like, sometimes I'll have a conversation with someone and I'll whip out some different perspectives. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was God. Yeah. Like, that was not me.
Whatever it is. Like sometimes I'll come to you and I'll expect whatever I'm like, oh, I think she might say this. And you come out with something completely different. I'm like, oh, I had no, okay, that's what we're going with. Like, yeah.
It's that trust with like the inner voice inside my head that I'm like, I don't think this is coming 100%. From me, but I need to say this. Like I do it with my coaches, with my clients all the time. I'm like, I feel like I want to ask you this question and I don't know why, but we're going to trust it.
Yeah, everything you say, I'm like, I take it as gospel because I'm just like, oh, like ever since you were like, you need to listen to your intuition more. That two things that you said to me was you need to listen to your intuition more. And I know that's a human design thing too. Yeah. And the other thing that you said was that I am really good at manifesting and I need to like say it out loud more. And so now I'm like more conscious of like, okay, definitely need to be more out loud with the manifest, but like the intuition thing ever since like that human design reading that you did for me, I'm like, I just need to listen to it. I'm like, oh fuck, Tess is so right.
Oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, that's those two, I would say those are that's how I describe you.
Let's rewind it back. This episode is called From Each Other's First Clients to Besties in Biz. So I feel like we need to give a little bit of context on how we met. So we met in Sydney. I was Tiana's Pilates instructor.
Like, for a while.
For a long time.
There was another girl before you. So a little bit of backstory. My mum and I used to go to Pilates every week. We'd go once or twice a week. Tuesday mornings were our day and Saturday mornings were our day. Ingrained. That was our thing we did together. There was this instructor there. And my mum and I are very the same in terms of when we find somebody that we like and we click with and they work well for us, we're not going to change that. So this instructor, she was so lovely. Her name was Morgan. She was beautiful. One day...
She just got married recently.
Did she?
Yeah.
So love that for her. Well, she decided to leave us. So she was going to be a radiographer or something. And good on her, doing the career thing. And all of a sudden, this blonde lady replaces Morgan and me. And I'm like, who is this?
Was I blonde at that point?
Yeah.
Fuck, I must have been teaching there for a while already then. You just never been to my class.
Yeah, I think you were, but I just don't think we'd been to one of your things. So this blonde girl walks in and we're like, who is this girl? But like, okay, cool, whatever. We'll trust because we don't really have a choice. Morgan's just fucking left us. And mum and I left and we're like, oh, she's pretty good. And I remember like mum's biggest thing is because she has a whiplash injury. Her biggest thing is someone that actually listens to what she has to say, like if she's got pain or whatever. And that was a big thing that you actually obviously care about her. And you were like, oh, change it to this or change it to that. Anyway, so we just kept go every week. We were like, okay, Tess is our new instructor. And that's what we did. Tuesdays and Saturdays. And
That's so funny.
yeah.
And then one time, so I was always a storyteller when I teach.
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone knows everything. I'll tell you my whole life.
Yeah.
Like everything. But I was bodybuilding. I was doing my first show at that point. And so I was updating everyone like, this is what's happening this week and this is what's happening this week. And it was like a whole thing. People were invested. It was fucking awesome. And also it was like flashback. I learned so much about how other people other people project their own limitations and like thoughts, or it was so interesting watching people be like, you're doing so good. But then also when I was coming out of the comp, people being like, oh, I'm so glad you're not so skinny anymore, or you look way better. Like people just think they could comment on whatever the fuck they want to comment on.
People don't have a filter.
No. Especially when you're so upfront about your experience, people will just give it, which I'm like, I can handle it and I'm totally fine. But this one time you came up to me and you asked me who my coach was.
Yeah.
And I gave you all the details, but you never did anything with it, right?
No, but I followed you on Instagram. So I was watching like that. Obviously, I got what was happening in the classes, and then I was watching on Instagram whatever was happening on Instagram, and I was just like curious about it. And I was like, oh, cool. And I remember looking up her at the time, and I was like, okay, cool, interesting. But no, I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, and then
it was just a thought.
Yeah, but we had a couple of conversations like as you were leaving class and you and your mum, and I was like, oh, she's so nice and da-da-da-da-da. And then I started coaching. Like I finished my Cert 4 and I went and started PTing and like obviously telling everyone that this is what I'm doing and I'm so excited and blah, blah, blah. And T was, I don't even remember how it happened, but T ended up being my first.
It was after a Tuesday class. I worked around the corner from the Pilates studio. Yeah. So like we'd go and then we'd go home, whatever, and then I'd come back to work. I remember I was like, I'm just going to ask her. I remember you said you were launching your website, and I think I saw that on Instagram. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm just going to ask her how much it is. Like maybe a coach, she's good at Pilates. She'd be good at like whatever. And I remember asking you after the class, and you were like, oh, well, my website. I just remember you're like, my website launches tonight. So put an inquiry through my website.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
love myself.
Okay. I'm like, fair enough. Like, whatever.
And that's me not knowing that you did websites at that time. You probably being like,
I don't. Well, I mean, I didn't really.
Yeah. You had the information.
Popped it all in there for you.
But yeah, so T was my first fitness coaching client. I'm pretty sure like that was before I even went into PTing in a gym. I'm pretty sure you were my first client.
I don't think you were PTing when I first spoke to you.
And then I started in the gym. And then it kind of just, obviously we built a relationship from there. I was your coach. You were my client. Like you were the one that I trusted with every upgrade I made in my business. I would always ask you like, T, what do you think about this? Like I'm going to change check-ins. T, can you give me feedback? Because we just started building this really great rapport. And then
I was going to say, I feel like a moment for me where I was like, oh, we're friends now is you texted me one morning. I didn't come. I would sometimes not go to Pilates because I would sleep in, right? These 6 a.m. classes. You texted me one morning and you were like, I miss seeing you this morning or something. And I was like, I have
the subtle guilt trip.
Yeah, it was like the subtle. I was like, she's being a bitch. It's because I didn't go. But also I'm like, oh, maybe like we're friends now. Like I remember you'd sent me a text message and it came up as a memory on my Instagram stories not too long ago because I had posted it and tagged you and KX. Oh. And I was like, oh, like, and that was when I was like, oh, I think we're friends now. Like,
yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of the transition.
No,
like it feels like so lame. Feels like falling in love really slowly. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes people are like, oh, my best friend as an adult, we met and we just knew, or we hated each other and then we had a conversation and we just knew. But like our friendship wasn't like that. It was a slow burn into slowly being friends. And then you started, I don't know whether it was I encouraged you to do the freelance thing, or
I don't know how we did the website thing. I don't know how that came up. So for context, I rebuilt Tessa's first website, and I don't know how that came about, but there was obviously some sort of conversation there where you were like, can you do it, or do you want to do it, or there was something, and obviously I did it for you. I remember I came to your house and like we did it all together and whatever, and then after that you were like, you could make this a business, and I was like, I could make this a business. Like, what? This is a bit like fun. And then we did banners and we did social tiles and reels and whatever else. And I was like, yeah, maybe I could make this a business. And then it wasn't long after that I did set up the business and just kind of do it on the side.
So T was my first client and I was hers.
She was mine.
And I love that. And then I feel like there was just this natural progression. I remember having a conversation about, okay, well, coaching conversations, I was using Voxer at the time, coaching conversations need to happen through Voxer, and then like, let's text when it's, we're going to go and have a coffee, or like friendship stuff. And I remember having conversations of you being like we would go and have a meal together and you would be like, oh, and I was like, just let me be your friend. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not trying to judge you out here. I'm not trying to be your coach. And we would have those kind of offhanded conversations, and really, you were really good at having clear boundaries of, okay, this is where I communicate a coaching question and this is where I communicate like as a friend. And it kind of just grew and blossomed from there. And I remember when you wanted to start bodybuilding and I was kind of in this position of I thought I still wanted to be a fitness coach, and I was a bit like, yeah, well, I think I want to go into coaching athletes, so if you're okay with me like using you as a guinea pig, I'll do it. And but at this point I was fucking lying to myself. Did not want to be a fitness coach. But anyways, as I slowly grew out of that, you then transitioned over to my coach at the time, and I feel like that the closing of our business relationship in terms of coach-client really opened up a door for our friendship to go even deeper.
Yeah.
Was it?
That was around the time you competed too.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were at Anytime Fitness in Miranda, and Jared was on one side of the gym and I was on the other. I was on the leg extension.
I remember you telling me
and he was on something else. And we were watching the live video. So FMG, WBFF at the time, streamed their shows live. So it's like, I don't even know what time of the afternoon we're there. We're both watching. He's on one side, I'm on the other. Carney was also there somewhere, like, what the hell is going on? And you won. And me and Jared, I was screen recording it and I still have it somewhere. And Jared, he was like, she won. And I was like, she won. And we were like, oh my God. And he was just like, oh, that's so nice. I was like, I'm going to text her. And obviously, like,
yeah, because I'd met Jared by that point because we'd done some PT
I think we'd done
sessions. He'd come in, and I remember I left Anytime like a week before I competed, and then I started at the new gym the week after. Yeah. So all that timing makes sense.
It was just so, I just remember it was so funny. It's like, I'm going to message her because she's my friend and I'm going to tell her like, congrats. So I feel like that was also like a part of that transition time.
And then I feel like our friendship, like it was a friendship, and it was getting deeper and getting deeper and getting deeper. And then I don't even, like, again, this is what I mean. Tiana is the most fucking generous and helpful person ever. Like, our friendship was really good when I moved here, but I don't think our friendship was, like, I think
was, that week where I came up here.
Yeah, I was like, surprised that you offered to help move me up here, essentially. I was just like,
oh, this is my friend. Like, I'm going to help her. Like, whatever.
She came on a fucking long drive, a 2-day trip at awful time of the morning. We woke up in Coffs Harbour to drive to
in
the
that
Gold
little
Coast.
cottage.
Oh my Lord, with my dog. It was a lot. But T moved me up here, and I remember that week it wasn't your birthday that week. It was the 3rd of April, because I remember my Gold Coast and then my engagement anniversary side by side. And you asked me to be your maid of honor that week. That was when you came back.
The birthday week was the,
Okay, so you came back for your birthday.
Yeah.
Why did you come back? I think you and Jared were like, we're just going to come up.
I think it was because he had time off work, and it was because my birthday's the day before Anzac Day, so there was a public holiday in there. But Carney came too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't remember. And you were like, yeah, you can stay with us, Brody will be here, like, it'll be fine, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, Jared and Brody had met, and that was all fine, and we all just stayed together.
Because rewind back, that's where our friendship...
In Bali.
Yeah.
After your show.
I competed in July. We went to Bali in September. You guys were there at the same time. We had, like, a week of crossover.
Do you remember? I don't know if I think you had the same conversation with Brody. Jared, I had this conversation with Jared, and I was like, okay, Tess is my friend. Like, that's great. You're going to meet Brody. Like, that's great.
Don't fuck this up.
Like, it wasn't even that. It was like they got along well. And I remember we went back to the villa and he was like, he was so great. Like he had a really good time. And we'd gone to like some some bar thing, right? Yeah. With the pool and whatever. And then he was like, yeah. And like, I think he followed him on Instagram or something. Because the next morning we woke up and Jared's like, I'm going to message Brody and see what they're doing today. And I was like, no, don't.
Don't overstep the boundaries.
don't annoy them. Like they're on a separate holiday and we're on our holiday. Like you like, and then I think you messaged me and was like, "Oh, Brody asked what you guys are doing," and I was like, "Okay, we're fine now." And then Jared and Brody, like every day, were like, "Oh, like do you want to do this? Do you want to go here?" And like I think that was
maybe we owe the depth of our friendship to them liking each other.
I just
because
remember
that
you,
so
you and I having that conversation of like, I wonder if they'll like each other. I feel like they will. They're very similar, but like we'll find out.
And then they just started drinking and they were like, we like each other.
But like we're best buds, like children in the fucking pool.
Yeah. And then, okay, so fast forward, you've come up, it was your birthday, you asked me to be your maid of honor. I remember being like kind of semi-shocked at that, being like, she wants me to be her maid of honor? Like, whoa. I was very...
I remember talking to Jared and I was like, I don't have any friends, Jared. I can't have a bridal party because I've got no friends. And he was like, firstly, shut the fuck up. And he's like, and then I went from like, I've got no one to, oh no, I've got 5. How am I going to cut this down? And then I was like, I don't even know who I'm going to ask to be my maid of honor. And then he was like, why wouldn't you be asking Tess? Like, are you that silly? Like, and I was like, oh yeah, it just made sense on my end. And I was like, you're right. That would be silly to not ask her. Like,
yeah. And then it just started like, it started me on this contemplation thought of like, okay, where have I held myself back in friendships? Because I had a lot of friendship wounds and sisterhood wounds. And like, I was willing to go deep, but I used my vulnerability to protect myself. So I was very guarded. And I remember when I came to Sydney that next time, I remember you driving. I remember exactly where we were driving. Like it was that Botany kind of point coming back from the airport.
Brighton.
Yeah. I don't know if it was coming back from the airport or whatever it was.
It was.
I remember turning to you and being like, I was going to fucking vomit. I was so nervous to say something because I was like, friendship just happens. You don't, but I knew I had to make an effort to be like, I think our friendship can go deeper and I want that. And we need to intentionally build this and do this. And I don't even remember what actions we decided. Oh, it was
a weekly FaceTime.
Yeah, we were going to
like
weekly
an intentional
FaceTime and make sure that we had this time, which is so funny because we very quickly outgrew that to like, oh, I can literally just FaceTime
call her
you
whenever. Yeah. And you said something about what was like we talked about like voice noting.
Yeah.
Instead of a phone call or like what like just you said that you were doing it with somebody else. You're like, yeah, I'll just voice note her and blah, blah. I was like, oh, I can do a voice note. I love voice notes.
Yeah.
Like,
I was just like especially because we live so far away.
That was where the intentionality came
How do we bring intention to making our friendship what we want it to be? And it was experimenting and then it naturally happened. And then I think it was honestly the point of us deciding to make BBL. Like our friendship was fucking phenomenal before then. But that decision, because we were talking to each other every fucking day, it made it go so much deeper again.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you want to know a funny story? I don't think I've ever told you this. Okay. But Jared knows this. All right. I don't think I have sisterhood wounds. I wouldn't say that. But when
she has only child wounds.
I've only child. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother episode. No, but before we became really close friends, I had a different best friend of like 10 years from high school and we got along so well. And we like sort of, I guess just I'd say we outgrew each other in a way. But I went through this like, I'm never going to have a best friend again. I'm an adult now. How do you make friends as an adult? Blah, 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 like whatever. And like there was like moments of like toxicity, which I can see like we're probably on both parties. But like Jared was like, you need to like just do your own thing, like whatever. And I was working with a mentor at the time and she was like, you need to grieve that relationship because that was a big thing that I hadn't done. But the funniest part about it was when I grieved that, we became best friends. Like that was that
conversation.
Yeah, that closed and then you
brought that conversation in.
Yeah, or like around that sort of time. But it wasn't until I like fully had closure on that it was like, oh. And I said to Jared, I was like, I think, like I said it to him maybe like 6 months after, I was like, I think I actually manifested that in a roundabout way of like, I don't have a best friend, but I really want to have a best friend. But like also then I had trust issues of like, oh, well, 10 years is a long time. What a like waste of 10 years. And he was like, well, no, because you went through so much and you experienced all this stuff. And like, because I was an only child, it was like having a sister. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I don't have that anymore. Like, and then now we're friends and I'm like, oh, well, never mind. No. I'm like,
you know what I
the
think
universe did something there. But
yeah, and I've had similar relationships where I've had to had that intentional like stop holding on to this. It's gone, like, and it's gone for a reason. Like, and I know you pretty much know this story, but for me, I had what I would have called a best friend at the time, and I had already prior to that been working on my friendship shit. And so I was like, oh, I have a girl best friend. Like, oh my God, lucky me. Like, because when I moved out of home at 16, I didn't have that one person that also had me back in the same like level of friendship. You know what I mean? And then I had this one best friend. And when I won my pro card, I think it really triggered her. And she started pulling away, and that fucking broke my heart. And I was like I had to really be okay with being hurt by that, and also be okay that if I brought you the conversation that I could handle it if it hurt. And I don't know if I told you this, but I've spoken about it twice recently, one on that masterclass I did as a guest, and one somewhere else, and I can't remember where it was, but I don't know. I literally had this moment of like, I got teary because I was like, if I wasn't willing to face the heartbreak from that previous friendship, I literally would not have the friendship that I have now. And I didn't know that friendship could exist like this. Like
that, mine was the same.
Always growing up, I was like, I have a best friend, but it wasn't like.
Yeah.
Funny story. When I was in year 7, my best friend at the time, I was consoling her breaking up with her ex-boyfriend while I was talking to him behind her back. So like, you know, this is some of this is my fault.
That's why you didn't have a best friend.
No, it is why I didn't have a best friend. But it's all right. I know I told Jared to drop his DAX yesterday, but like, I promise I'm good. Bodybuilding. He asked me if I wanted to take a photo, and I was like, sir, are you asking if I want to take a photo with you, or are you asking to take a photo with me? But then I was like, all right, drop your DAX. You don't get to say that to your best friend's husband very often.
So funny.
But anyways, yeah. So that's how our friendship like really started, and that has been a lot of intentionality and hard, uncomfortable conversations that have led us here, which I'm really grateful for. And
I think about that too, though, and I'm like, I don't think there would be anyone else that could have the conversations that we've had to get, like, do you know what I mean? Like that are on the same level of emotional intelligence and have done all the other work to be like, oh, this is actually just communicating.
Which is also why we've been able to thrive doing business together. So
100%.
I feel like let's tell the story of that, but then in the next episode, we're going to go into navigating being in business with your best friend, because we got some stuff to say on that. But essentially, you want to share the story?
Yeah, I'll try and short form it because she yaps.
She's got
basically, Tess had run around a BBL or Build Brand Launch. If you don't know, that's our business together. But surely that's where you've come from. She'd run this round of BBL, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun. I want to invest in something. I wanted to do a group program. Didn't know what." And I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to invest in it." She was like, "I'll just add you in," and I was like, "No." So I invested in it. I paid for it. And I was like,
it was very uncomfortable for me.
And Tess was like, I don't want to take him. I'm like, too bad we're doing this anyway. So paid for that. And then I was like, this is fun. Like, we're in this group space. We're doing weekly calls. It was great. It was wonderful. I got a lot out of it. Then I don't know how much time there was after that, but then we were just doing our own business things. And I had what I would call a sales call with a male business coach, funnily enough. And we were just having a conversation, and he had made the suggestion to work with another coach. So the example he gave was a fitness coach and a mindset coach combining and doing like an 8 or 12-week challenge where the clients get both ends of the spectrum, but like they complement one another. And I was like, oh, what a good idea. And I was like, oh, actually, it's like maybe Tess would want to do something together, because at that point you were a lot more business coach, mindset coach, and I was more socials marketing. And I was like, oh, cool. So he'd given me this great idea, got off the phone with him, and I called you straight away, and I was like, okay, he didn't help me with what I wanted help with, but he gave me this idea, and I think this is a really good idea. And she was like, oh, and we were sort of like, what do we do with that idea? And then you were like, well, what about we just run BBL together? And I was like, oh, but that's your like baby, and you've already done it, and you've got the branding and the name and whatever. Like, are you sure you want to do that? And you were like, yeah, no, like that just kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it made more sense to me for us to do that than for us to create something similar to that and me to try and sell both of them at the same time.
Yeah, which in hindsight, that does make a lot more sense now. Yeah, and I don't know if I've missed anything from your part to that. But
no,
that's
you brought it to me and I was like, I had the full body, like, yeah, we're going to do this. And we had the conversation around
the name.
Yeah, my brain is like, oh, I'd keep it in this episode or start it in the next episode. Come back for the next episode. Let's go deeper into like the conversations that we had starting it, and the conversations that we've had since, because it's honestly blown up into something that I didn't expect it to. Like part of us was like, oh yeah, we'll do this once, and then our own businesses will benefit, and then we'll go back to doing that. But
because I guess that was the whole premise at the start, which we can talk about more in the next one. But
But essentially, that was the birth of Build Brand Launch. That was the birth of Besties in Biz. And here we fucking are now. So we hope that you have enjoyed us telling the story. I've enjoyed telling the story and reminiscing on the story. I'm like,
this is the most I've spoken in like 4 weeks.
Amazing. Good. Well, I'm glad we're doing this together. I'm like, yeah, this has been good. No. We would love to hear, like, especially if you are a woman in business who maybe isolates herself or has those same feminine, friendship, female sisterhood wounds, like whatever. Like, if you can get anything from this episode, just know that friendships like this exist, and they don't happen by accident, but you can have them.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Do we want an outro?
An outro?
Like, follow us at Build Brand Launch.
Yeah, well,
no, I don't know.
No, obviously. Make sure, like, okay, so if you got anything from this, make sure you send us a message or you screenshot and you share it. Like, we really want to build this podcast to be something that you guys can benefit from, and we can expand and like show our fucking I feel like I've shown my personality more in this episode than I have in a long time.
So much easier, I feel.
Yeah. We're really excited to build a community of besties. So make sure to give us a follow on our Build Brand Launch Instagram account, but also our own individual.
Put it in the show notes.
In the show notes, so you don't need to stress about anything. But we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you being our bestie, and we can't wait for the next episode.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Okay. Bye.